I'm Dr. Ken Snyder, and this is Dr. Betzy Leyva. And welcome to Betzy's Journal. And we're here filming inside the dental clinic at St. Vincent de Paul, the charity dental clinic, where we treat men, women, and children who have no access to dental care whatsoever. And we're going to continue with the unbelievable story of Betzy's rise from coming as an infant over from Mexico and to being a doctor that she is today. So Betzy, last time we talked a little bit about your childhood and early school life and even kind of going up through high school and some of the things that happened. And today I'd like to start out by touching a little bit on your home life. Now I know you were only slightly less than a year, was it, when you came over?
Yeah, I was 1 year old. I think I had my first, my 1 year here. When I turned one here.
Oh, you were here at one. Okay, yeah, good. And so what was it like then? Of course, early on you probably don't have a whole lot of memory, but what was the your first memory of being in a house or living here?
Yeah, so I have this couple of memories where I know we used to live with another family. I think it was a house. That's what I remember, the house. I remember that lady, how she looks, but I just don't remember her name or anything like that. But I know we used to live with another family, and it was around our first neighborhood when my parents got our first house, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah. And do you remember when your parents actually got their first house, or moving into it, or anything?
No, I don't remember any of that.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember, did you move from house to house, or were you pretty much in the same house the whole time?
We were pretty much in one house. After we moved with the lady, we lived at this house that is it was a corner house. Mm-hmm. And then at the other corner, it was a school.
Oh, okay. So
so we lived there for, I want to say maybe 10 years, around there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good.
And then, do you remember what part of Phoenix that was, or what neighborhood?
Yeah, it was around I don't know if I want to say central, Central Phoenix, around that area. The neighborhood was pretty. It was I don't know, like a rougher part of Phoenix. So yeah.
Yeah. So your dad was actually a veterinarian in Mexico.
Yeah.
So he was Dr. Leyva
yeah,
as well.
He was. Yeah.
And but when he came over here, obviously you have to have a U.S. license, and I guess he was pretty busy just trying to make a living.
Yeah.
And so what did your dad end up doing?
So he ended up being he started off working at a restaurant.
Oh.
What's the name? It's Scottsdale Resort, something like that. Scottsdale Plaza Resort. So he worked there as he told me he was cleaning dishes first. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cleaning dishes and working his way up, and then he was a sous chef after that. But and then after that he was there for a couple years, So then after that, now from back then to now, he's been construction, road construction.
Yeah. And did he ever, and maybe you never talked to him about this, but did he ever think of trying to, whatever you have to do, the procedures, probably take an exam or some courses to become a vet again?
We talk about it a lot, and I can tell that he's very, he feels bad, and if he wishes that he could, go back, make the time go back, and then that way he could have more time. But yeah, he would have loved to do that, but because he was trying to, look for a job so that he can, give us a roof and feed us, and he just didn't have the time to, or the money to do that, or I don't know, just have time to learn the language better earlier. So yeah.
And once family comes along, that's pretty all consuming. I know that myself. Of course, Joanne and I have 5 kids.
Yeah.
And so you then were the first child born to your mom and dad, but the 3 more came along, right?
Yep, 3 more.
And can you tell us how old were you whenever Flora came along?
So I think we're like 4 years apart. So Flora came along, and I think I was like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then after my little sister, the younger sister, I always say little sister because she's little, but she's not little anymore. But then she came in 8 years later, and then my brother. So me and my brother, he's the youngest. We're 10 years apart. So.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Of our 5 children, almost to the day, they're 10 years apart. So yeah, I kind of know. So with your sisters, were you pretty close, or were there little squabbles in the house, or how did that work?
I mean, we had our little fights here and there, but we weren't. I think we were pretty close. Mm-hmm. Me and my sister Flor, that she's actually gonna have a little girl. Yeah, wow. She's pregnant. She's due in May. So I think me and her, we have a closer bond. I actually, even though I'm the oldest one, I see her as like a mom figure because she's very nurturing. She's always like been there for me and helped me throughout dental school as well. My little sister, I mean, she's been there for me as well. But me and my Flor, we live together. So yeah. So I mean, then with my brother, we're 10 years apart. So I mean, I feel like sometimes we do get along, but sometimes, I mean, you get to that age where it's like, I know what I'm doing. Like, so I just like, okay, that's okay.
There's stages that kids go through and so forth. Oh, that's really neat. So getting back to when you were, say, even starting grade school or whatever, at what point would you say that you spoke English the best in your household? I mean, talking with your mom and dad, were there times when you had to help them through certain things because they didn't speak English quite so well?
Yep. I think I want to say maybe like when I started in 4th grade. Like since then I had to either like translate for my parents or translate like letters too that would come in the mail, things like that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, that's a pretty big responsibility for a kid, that age and so forth. Now, I know that at one point you lived in a neighborhood that most of us would consider to be pretty unsafe, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, 2 neighborhoods, but one was worse. Yeah. So the first one when it was in Central Phoenix. That one too. Like I remember this thing that happened where. I mean, many things that happened, but so one thing is that we were in recess, and then they had to lock down the school because so we had gangsters. We call them cholos. So a lot of them, like for some reason, they just gathered at this house. I have no idea why. We have no idea why. So then, they saw that as something like, maybe something's gonna happen, or I don't know, but. Yeah, you would just see a bunch of them, like gangsters, just gathering, in this house. It was a lot. I remember, and then they just called us into the school, and then it was a lockdown. So,
it was like a house that was across from the school.
Yeah, it was just like across right there, down So then, and then another thing that happened is that I was outside just playing, with my. I don't remember I think it was either with my sisters or maybe I was just playing by myself. I don't know. But then I was just looking. I remember I turned and there was like this couple of like cholos too, these gangsters. And then there was a puppy. That's why I was looking, because there was a little puppy. And then that gangster, he saw that I was looking over there. And then he was like, "What are you looking at?" And I was like, "Oh." And then I just went inside my house. So yeah, that was scary.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then things like I would just like at night too. Like I remember one time there was this person like not in our house. It was like by the walkway or what was it, like the sidewalk.
The sidewalk?
Mm-hmm. Like on the back. And then he had like this brown paper, and I saw that he was like like sniffing, and I was like, what is that? But now, I mean, it was like pretty much drugs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was the first neighborhood. The second one,
Was that the good one or the bad one?
Actually, that was the better one.
Okay.
the next one, it was like gunshots. You can hear it every night, like, and especially,
oh my God.
yeah, especially like it was our next door neighbor, you know, literally our next door neighbor. At the time, I mean, obviously they were younger, so it was like, you know, every night. I remember at 2 a.m. or 12 a.m, they would come by and then do drive-bys.
Oh my God.
And then we were like, oh my gosh, again, and we'd have to like roll down on the floor and then kind of like crawl, and then just so that we can go to our parents. And yeah, I mean, if you go to my parents' house, they can see like a bullet hole on this, like, yeah, next to the door. I know at the time they had shot through one of our cars too. Then they also one of those whatever happened shootouts, they blew off like the light, so we were without light.
Like the street light or something?
Yeah,
like or the porch light.
No, actually, like the street. I mean, like where they get all the electricity.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I see. The
electricity post. I don't know.
The box or something.
Yeah. So they blew that off, and then we were without light for a couple.
Was the whole neighborhood without lights?
Yeah.
Then,
yeah. And then SWATs. That was something like, oh, you know, the SWAT is here. What happened now?
Yeah. Did anyone ever try to break into your house, whether you were there or whether you were? Did you ever come home from something and your house was broken into? Or?
You know, no, I don't think so. Maybe sometimes we did hear like, oh, you know, maybe there's somebody outside or something. But from what I remember, I don't think anybody tried to get in. Mm-hmm. I know, even though that, you know, would happen, like our neighbors were pretty good, kind of like keeping each other's, you know, an eye on each other's houses. So but still, you know, you're not gonna fully like trust everybody.
No, I can understand. Yeah.
And then I mean, yeah, and drugs were there everywhere as well. Still is, but you know.
And did anyone ever approach you at school or in your neighborhood about taking drugs or buying drugs or?
Oh, you know what? I want to say yes, but I don't remember exactly like what, you know, the event or what happened. But I say yes, and it was in the neighborhood, and I said no, you know, I don't do those things, and just like pretty much just left.
And so your father must have been, I guess, pretty protective, right, or kind of worried about you and you know, all your sisters and your family and so forth. Yeah, wow, that's amazing. And I do know that your sister, your little sister, who you say is big, that she wrote a poem about hitting the floor, so to speak, and about the gunshots.
It was a really nice poem. I wish I could remember or have it here with me, but it was a really nice poem, pretty much saying, you know, what we live every day, every night at that neighborhood. It's more like in South Phoenix. But hearing like gunshots all the time at night, having to roll down on the floor just so that we don't, you know, nobody gets hit or something like that. Yeah. And then just, I mean, it's just like having that fear of like, what if one of those shots, like, I don't know, goes into my leg, or I don't know, even worse, you know?
Well, that happens. I mean, innocent people, even you know, young babies. I mean, a bullet comes through the window and hits somebody and kills them.
Yeah, many things that happen. I remember too. There's this event that it was crazy. Like, I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but there was like a group of people coming from like the east side of the street, and another group of people coming from the west side of the street. And I don't know if they were like rival gangs or something, but you can just see, like, we were just looking from the from our window, and there's a lot of people there, and then all of a sudden it just like clashed together and start fighting, and then they pulled guns. And then I remember one time, like, one of the guys like jumped into our front yard, and then we were like, oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen, like, hope it yeah, it was crazy. But then the cops came, and you know, pretty much everybody went their way. So
Oh, wow. And how old were you roughly when that happened?
I think it was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe freshman or something like that, freshman and sophomore year.
Yeah, wow. So,
Yeah.
these stories are amazing. What I want to do is in the next episode, I'd like to talk. You know, you came up the steps and you started to right out of high school and kind of shadow and see if you liked dentistry, and it appeared you did. And at some point, you made the decision to start taking classes at Phoenix College. So I want next episode, I'd like to kind of explore that a little bit and what that was like. You know,
Yeah, of course.
so yeah, we'll do that. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to support our mission here at the St. Vincent de Paul Charity Clinic, you can see on the website there. Actually, all you have to do is visit the St. Vincent de Paul Phoenix website, look for the donor page, and you can designate dental, or if you'd rather give to one of the other many wonderful services that are provided here on the St. Vincent de Paul campus, and even throughout the whole community. I mean, things like food boxes and helping people with rent and helping people if they have to get, you know, back home where they're stranded out here, put their electricity back on, just so many wonderful things. And please, if you do, mention that you heard about it on Betzy's Journal. So until next time, and we can say this together, you know, be true to your teeth, and they won't be false to you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.